A daily routine that I would like to incorporate into my classroom is an exit ticket. And this exit ticket can be incorporated as a daily routine for students to do right after we end our math lesson. This can be done individually or even in groups for students, depending on what kind of setup I may have. So the exit ticket is able to address math standards um, for multiple grade levels. For example, I decided to do a third grade geometry standard. So on my exit ticket, I went ahead and wrote the standard here. And then I also added the student facing objectives. So this allows for my students to make sense. Like, okay, this is what my teacher was trying to teach. This is what I should be able to do. So now I'm going to go ahead and answer the following question. So students are able to put their name and then begin to answer questions that meet the standard. So if we look here, I'm having students tell me which properties these shapes all have. So then that allows for students to see, okay, this is a rectangle, but rectangles um, may not be parallelograms, but in this case they are. Or they can even think, okay, this is a square. I know they're squares. I know it's a parallelogram. I know it's a quadrilateral, but students may not know that squares are also rectangles. So then this would allow me to see how well my students know the attributes of certain shapes. For question number 2, I gave the properties of shapes and asked students to identify which shapes meet those properties. So it's testing that part of the standard. For the third question, I left it open-ended just to give a variety of question types for students, which allow me to make this accessible to more learners. So for this one, I asked students to name a shape that is a quadrilateral but not a rhombus. So this forces students to use the resources around them to be able to answer the questions. So for this exit ticket, um, I'm able to assess most of the standard. However, this Google form doesn't allow me to draw examples of quadrilaterals that do not belong to any of these subcategories, which I would have to do in a different lesson. But I also believe that exit tickets should only assess specific skills that you taught in that during that math lesson of the day. It shouldn't be you trying to force your students to show you their whole cumulative knowledge around this standard. I would do it based on specific skills and at the end do a full assessment. But for exit tickets, it should just be that specific skill that you taught that day. Exit tickets are definitely beneficial in helping you have data to see what your students know, what misconceptions they may have, and also what they don't know. Um, this also allows for upper grades to get some practice for SBAC. So SBAC is a state's test, and I think I want to say all of SBAC is online. So this allows for students to be able to practice some SBAC skills. Also, some of the questions that I put are similar to the SBAC, where students are given bullet questions in bullet point format. But this exit ticket was able to address this standard when it came to mathematical practices. Um, this exit ticket was able to address the first mathematical practice where students need to make sense of the problem and persevere in solving them. So if we look here, that this question that addresses that where students need to be able to think, okay, I'm going to go step by step and see, are all these shapes quadrilaterals? If they are, I'm going to mark